Yes.
And, you know, when you talk about this year's theme of International Youth Day, I'm thinking this is where maybe Kirabo comes in, because them clearly says creating a world for all ages.
Yes.
So all those people that think they are in the youth category like Kirabo, at least we are incorporating you in that theme. So maybe this is what we are looking at this year. And because we know that we're living in a world where we have left innovation, we have left a lot of tasks to the youth. However, they're not given platform. But now the youth are saying, no, we need this platform. We need to be on the bigger table with everyone else, and that is where everyone is going to be recognized in that particular, without limit of whatever age you are. And I think that is a good theme for the youth to get involved in a lot of activities happening across the world. We have seen youth voices coming up, campaigns, and for me, I would relate to the one on climate change. We have seen that this year, actually, most of the youth voices coming up, right from Fridays for the Future, you see a lot of movements that are coming up are youth-led, and they are creating a change out there. Their activism is actually creating a change there, you know, to create awareness on everything that is happening across the world. So I think this is a day that should be respected, and
Absolutely.
of course, with the theme also moving forward with the solidarity across the world.
Well, I would really want to know how the councilman defines who a youth is. I'm pretty sure we'll get a picture and we'll categorize each one of us where we all belong respectively. Good morning, Felix.
Morning, Philo. I almost said morning, darling, but but morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing fine.
Allow me, before I talk about youth, to say I love Mollen's outfit.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so
She
much.
looks elegant. She looks on point. She looks flying. She's actually flying.
Oh my God,
I love
that
you, I
is
love
too
you.
much. Thank you so much. I hope my designer is watching and he will
Absolutely.
be like, wow, I did it today.
They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job. And of course, now back to the whole idea of youth.
Yes.
Well, of course, a couple of definitions. The UN gives us a definition about looking at people who are stretching from the ages actually of 15 till the ages of 35.
Okay.
And definitely when you go to there's even actually a charter for children by the United Nations that does again define youth to be in the same category. But back home we'll be looking at again from the age of 18 to fairly the age of 30, 35, 36, around there.
Okay.
Because and the analogy and the understanding of the same is that youthfulness should define the potentials that lie with people in being able to execute the daily challenges easily. So I think that's basically what it should be. But also there's a biblical definition of youthfulness. When you read the Bible, not quite certain about which particular one, but God does speak to his people. I think in one of the letters of St. Paul's,
Yes.
talks about the age that will arouse you vividly to execute the things that will make you settle well later on. So youth, I don't know if still the qualifications I give suit people like Uncle B. Myself apparently, I fall within the categories. Though I'm not proud to fall in the categories.
Oh, come on. Why wouldn't you be proud? I mean, there is a logic and control.
Let's first understand which category. Because for Uganda, as long as you clock that, you don't even vote in youth elections.
Yes.
So I want to know where my brother lies. If he's still a voter in case of youth elections,
No,
or if he doesn't.
I'm not.
He's taking
I am above the age of 30, clearly, and I'm proud.
It's taking the international level,
standard,
which
yes,
goes up to
because
35.
35,
But maybe
36.
we should be doubting, is he within that? Or
No, I am within that, honestly. I am within that.
It's very clear, it is well defined that everybody here is still a young soul, but even you, the young souls out there, and like I said, there are people who are actually old or are beyond that category, but they're still young at heart, okay? They do have a youthful touch to them, and I think it's such a beautiful thing. You can always contribute. There is a lot of significances that we do have in the youth, especially here in Uganda, and I think this is a conversation we'll be delving into much later on as Good Morning Uganda Friday special goes on. But for now, we are looking into the stories. I'll tell you that the Kenyan elections are taking such a hit, neck to neck, and of course there is a lot of anticipation. Day 3 and results are still pending for us to know who is going to be the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. For now, going through some local stories and also some international stories.
And we'll begin with the First Lady, who also happens to be the Minister for Education and Sports, who was meeting university leaders and had a very powerful message for them at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. Student leaders across all universities were urged to promote abstinence from premarital sex and dignity by influencing young adolescents to value the opportunity of pursuing their education, invest energies to pass examinations, and embark on a well-deserved career. While launching a campus initiative dubbed On Your Future at Kololo, the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports expressed dissatisfaction with its approach, saying it can only lead to further moral decadency by addressing the symptoms and not the problem.
Now still in local stories, accusations over counter-accusations of electoral malpractice among candidates and supporters in Bukimbiri County parliamentary by-elections is what characterized the voting exercise in Kisoro district earlier on. Now yesterday, although there is no substantive evidence for those accusations, the NRM candidate Eddie Kwizera accuses his opponents of fairing voters from other districts, while his opponents accuse him of intimidation. But according to the electoral office, the voting exercise was peaceful and there was fairly a good voter turnout.
And away from votes, we now look at that is a development where government has registered a total of 8,267 circles under the parish development model as of 31st July this very year. The Minister of State for Finance, Amos Ogolobi, revealed that about 3,914 circles had not been registered by the end of July this very year. Ogolobi was addressing Parliament on the status of the parish development model, which was launched this year on the 26th of February. And this is believed to be a savior to the worrying 39% of Ugandans sweet-toothed in subsistence production.
Well, now, in other local stories, in the case where Segidinya and Alan Sewanyana and 5 others are accused of masterminding the greater massacre murders, have come out to disclose a defense statements of 19 witnesses who will testify in this matter. And the prosecution, however, informed court that there will be pending witnesses statements which they are to present to court at a later time. Legislators Muhammad Segidinya, Alan Sewanyana and 5 others co-accused have appeared at the International Crimes Division Court in Kololo for pre-trial of the matter. Now, the pre-trial presided over by Justice Jane Aldivisa. Prosecution led by Lino Aguzu disclosed the defense 9 witnesses' statements which they will rely on during the hearing of the case. Although defense did not object to the disclosed witnesses' statements, lawyer for the legislator expressed their intention to apply for the client's bail once again.
On the international scene, an armed man who held a bank hostage for more than 6 hours in Beirut because he could not withdraw savings has been hailed a hero by the public. Banks in Lebanon have put tight rules on how much money people can access amid a deep economic crisis. The suspect entered the bank with a rifle, poured petrol and demanded his money for hospital bills. His actions captured public support, with cheering crowds gathering outside and chanting, "You are a hero." The standoff eventually ended peacefully with no injuries after negotiators struck an agreement allowing the suspect to receive $35,000 of his savings upfront. Police escorted the hostages and suspect away from the Federal Bank branch near Hamra Street in the west of the city. Officials have not yet said whether the man will face charges. According to local media, the suspect's family were in dire need of their savings, with some family members in hospital. The suspect's brother told journalists, "My brother has $210,000 in the bank and wants to get just $5,500 to pay hospital bills." And his wife and brother, who were outside the bank, say that everybody should do the same to get access to what is rightfully theirs. There has been widespread anger in Lebanon over the strict controls over people's bank accounts, which came into force back in 2019. There are also restrictions on transfers of money abroad. Now, FIFA has moved the start of the upcoming World Cup in Qatar forward by 1 day to allow the host nation to play after an opening ceremony on Sunday, November 20th. The football governing body confirmed the decision on Thursday, saying that it followed an assessment of the competition and operational implications and consultations with stakeholders and the host nation. The change ensures the continuity of a long-standing tradition of marking the start of the FIFA World Cup with an opening ceremony on the occasion of the first match featuring either the hosts or the defending champions, according to what was said by FIFA in a statement. The opening game was said to be an encounter between Senegal and the Netherlands on November 21st. After Thursday's decision, that match was moved to 6 hours later, taking the evening sport previously allocated to Qatar versus Ecuador. The opening ceremony and first game will take place at the 60,000-seat Al Bayt Stadium in Al Khor, north of the Qatari capital Doha. The FIFA World Cup 2022 will kick off with an even greater celebration for local and international fans, as host country Qatar will now play Ecuador on Sunday, 20th of November, as part of a standalone event. This, according to FIFA.
And in Kenya, pending election results keep the nation in suspense. Now, it has been 2 days since voting ended in Kenya's closely contested presidential election, but for many citizens of the country, it feels like much longer. I'm very anxious, said Jacqueline Adiambo, a 31-year-old resident of Eldoret in Western Kenya. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to fight the desire to check my phone or turn on television. Adiambo, a voter registered in Eldoret, a stronghold of the most famous son, Deputy President and presidential candidate William Ruto, left her town for the capital, Nairobi, on the eve of August 9th election, and she was worried that violence could break out if Ruto lost to his closest competitor, Raila Odinga. That line of thinking was critical to a 64% turnout in Tuesday's election, a drop from almost 80% in 2017. Still, only a few within the country and the region. Kenya is East Africa's biggest economy. Now, across the country, many citizens turned on their radios and television, even as others stayed glued to social media for updates. In our climate news, European agriculture hit hard by climate change and drought. With Europe suffering through an extreme drought worsened by climate change that has dried up rivers and left millions sweltering into triple digits hit this summer, farmers across the continent are sounding warnings about crop losses. Our vines are suffering, said Vinter Xavier Collat, who with his wife Pascal runs a Chateau Mezelli Boulevard near Saint-Emilion in southwestern France. Loss in rains and the organic vineyard's parched clay-rich soil is almost as hard as cement, he told Yahoo News, and he predicted that his harvest, which typically yields enough for 35,000 bottles, will be down by 30% this year. In northern Italy, there was a little winter snow this year and even less springtime rain, and extreme summer temperatures have evaporated what little moisture remains. Just as rivers across Europe have all but dried up, the Po River, a major source of irrigation in River's fertile valley, is a trickle, and normally marshy rice paddies it irrigates are brown and cracked. We have no water, Fabrizio Rosita, a seventh-generation rice farmer, told Yahoo News, saying that the plants are carrying up and drying in the fields this year. He also expects his harvest to be down by 30%.
Well, when it comes to climate change, this is a problem that is still dragging on all over the globe. And again, we still have a lot to do when it comes to that challenge. However, for now, we'll be going in for a break. When we get back, we still continue with Good Morning Uganda Friday special. And we'll be talking about the youth, the problems that they face in their everyday life, you know, their contributions they have made, you know, what's the way forward? What's the plan? Does Uganda have any plan for its a large group of the youth? But you can also tell us what you think in our poll question. Well, we want to know how best can Uganda as a country tap into the productivity of its large youth group? How best can Uganda as a country tap into the productivity of its large youth group? Tell us, help us to help you. It's as easy as that. We'll be back after the break.
live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Peak of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at issues of taxation and all that, I will definitely run for the Kateshumbas. Okay? If I look at, if I'm looking at issues of investments and what, I would definitely run. I would definitely run for Dr. Emure and Omara. Okay? If I'm looking at issues of the law, I will run for our very, very own people. I have the Oboso Bosses, I have the Katuntus, I have the Robin Arwakojos. So everyone is talented in one way or another.
Did you mention Katuntu?
Okay? Yes.
Is he yours?
Yes, he is.
Yours as in NRM?
He is.
Was brought to you by.
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard super easy.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves. High-flying saves. Unbelievable goals. Out of this world celebration.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Gold TV. Love it.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There's no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Monga and Tayebo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only by one MP. You yourself and my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you for joining us yet for this discussion, especially concerning the youth. Now, today, the 12th of August 2022, is International Youth Day. It's not only a day that we get to celebrate here in the country, but across the globe, a day that was actually chartered by the United Nations, appreciating the contribution of young people everywhere on the village globe. You know, it could be economics, it could be politically, it could be socially. It cuts across. I'm pretty sure that with every sector you get into, you will definitely find a contribution that has been made by the young people. And also, according to the definition you will take as a youth, earlier on we did see quite an age gap that was being put, or age in number, between 18 to 35 years on the international scale. Well, Kirabo hardly challenged that, but
he's trying to fit into this by force, but that's okay.
But yes,
permanent youth.
We love Kirabo.
We love Kirabo, and we love all the permanent youth out there.
Yeah, permanent youth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But this year's theme, we are looking at creating, opportunities for all ages across. And this very specific one, we want to have intergenerational gaps that are filled, where we have the young and the old people. I'll tell you that the biggest challenge right now that we are facing as the young people is something we call ageism. Now, this is a discussion we'll also be having much later on for you to know if you have been a victim of it and how you can overcome it, and how it has also failed very many youth from accessing very big platforms. But that aside, also very many opportunities have been availed for the youth. Now, the question is, have they been able to tap into these opportunities or not? And also looking at the changing trends across the globe, especially when it comes to the youth, how well have they been able to come along these changes? Because everything is dynamic here and there. Now, while we are having this discussion, feel free to also be part of it. And our poll question this morning, we do ask, how best can Uganda as a country tap into the opportunities of its large youth group? Now, we know that Uganda's biggest percentage of the population is covered by the youth. And the question is, have we tapped into, their productivity? Have we been able to use them, or have they been able to realize it? And again, this is a question I would really want to first hear from Felix. Do you think that we as Ugandans, the young people, have we been able to tap into, all these platforms that we have been given, or even Uganda as a country, has it been able to use us? Because we are, we have a lot to offer. Yes.
No,
so
I don't like the way Philo keeps on saying we.
We are all young people. We are all young people.
I feel a bit insulted.
Felix, you're inclusive. You're a young person. Whether you like it or not, I am just going to rub it in your face.
I think now we need to create the junior young or senior young.
There is nothing like junior young or senior young.
Young adult.
So we need to categorize
Felix
Mollen.
is a young
Mollen's
adult.
no way.
It's still
No
part
way.
of the youth.
But anyway, being a youth is lovely, I can tell you.
Yes.
And as a Christian, I know for a fact that even the Bible is quite clear about youthhood rather. And it does even say, if I may quote verbatim from the spiritual book, it does talk about using the youthful ages, you know. I know that in Uganda, say, then be careful. Then there's a very nice preaching about youthfulness. Now it brings into realization of the potentials that come with being a youth, and as Philo was saying earlier, and but by the virtue of being a youth, it means that many opportunities do present to you, not automatically, by the way.
Yes.
But because as a youth, you're strong, assumably. You're smarter, assumably. You're more lucrative,
yes,
assumably, again. And we believe that you're more attractive, absolutely. Thank you, Robert. Assumably. And I'll tell you why I put the word assumably to all these sort of definitions and many, many others. Now, if you are beautiful, if you are energetic, if you are lucrative, if you are enterprising, if you are all these things, how do you utilize that to fit into the changing trends of the globe, as Philo you did put it?
Yes.
The question is, how are youth placing themselves for the opportunities before our eyes? Locally, internationally. Between you and me, you know that today the biggest tool of trade we have as the entire globe is what we call, okay, let's say IT. Because today I'm able to buy property in Guangzhou or even chattels. I'm able to buy anything from Arizona, Texas, Florida, Massachusetts, whatever, London, Birmingham, Leeds. Talk about Zimbabwe, Lesotho. There's a connection. And many people who are doing these things are definitely youth.
Yes.
But even when all this is being done, the gist of the question, Philo, that you asked is, where are our youth, if we want to go a bit personal now?
Yes, our very own.
It's similarly like, I remember when you used to go home and then your father is asking you, why were you the 30th out of the class of 100 if you're not good? That kind of expression,
yes,
trying to justify.
Which would get you a very good beating. Yes.
Very good. You would be killed for that kind of reasoning. And then they keep on asking you, who did you go with?
School, yeah.
Now, out of the bigger picture on how youth are performing internationally, let's zero down to our dear Ugandan youth. And let me give you a definition of our guys here. One, the definitions I gave you for the youth: one, lucrative, smarter, beautiful, fast, enterprising, like go-getters. On the spectrum of all those ones, if you want to judge them on all those, you'll say they are beautiful, or they are, I don't know if men need to be handsome. It's not important anyway for them, because that's not one of their tools of trade. No one will give you a job because, Kirabo, you have a nice channel. I'm just saying. So I don't think it's valid, but on the spectrum of all these definitions, do we have our youth present?
Yes.
Are they enterprising? Are they lucrative? Are they innovative? In relation to the backbone of a country like Uganda, how many youth, for example, are entangled in agriculture? Because many of the youth are pretending that they are studying. The question is, do they have value for the education they are doing? When you talk about innovations in this country, how many have been geared by the youth? Okay, when you talk about any formidable returns to government in terms of revenue, how much are the youth, the 70% that you talked about, Philo?
Yes.
How much are they contributing? Because you're talking about being the biggest population, but are they contributing a relative much to their population? For example, if you get data from URA and you ask how many people from the age of 15 to the age of 30 or 35 are paying taxes, because that's how we may judge the contribution of our dear youth.
Yes.
You'll find that you'll cry. Okay, out of the 70%, you'll find that probably only 2% of that is in actual production, sensible production. Many of them are not part of the production, economic production of the country. And that's why you find that for any abuse, for any insult, for any Actually, let me keep it to abuse in terms of crime, in terms of drugs, in terms of education. Any part of abuse, you find a big chunk of youth as part of that. If you remember, today when you come to town, Bob will attest, he has been doing criminal journalism for quite a time, that the number of youth who are part of the crime chain, the number of, actually, if not like the biggest,
90%.
The gangs in this country are all manned by people who are not more than the age of 25. But we're talking about gangs, crime, people in terms of murder, rape, just to mention but a few.
Yeah.
However, all that said, for me the question, and I want to throw back probably to all of us here, is having realized the potential that lies with the youth generally, what is our role as all stakeholders? Now we know they have a problem, they have challenges in terms of academics, economic, how do they fit in the economic gymnastics, how do they fit in terms of family. Today, lastly, today, let's ask ourselves, how many teenage mothers do we have? And children giving birth to children.
Children raising children.
So all these things we must question today as we celebrate such days, away from just massaging the egos of youth. We love you, we love you. It's not important.
Well, we'll be circling back to the roles of different stakeholders, especially when it comes to the youth. But also right now focusing on the challenges, Robert, I will tell you that one of the biggest problems, okay, that the youth face right now is ageism. Ageism being prejudice or discrimination of somebody on grounds of age. Now, the biggest percentage of Ugandans have experienced this. I have experienced this personally, yes. Oh. Okay, they will deny you opportunities because they believe you're too young, or they believe you don't have the potential to execute certain responsibilities just because of your age. Yes. Now this, according to very many Ugandan youth believe that it has cut them out of most of the sectors here in Uganda, the economy, the politics, because they feel like you're not mature enough to execute some of the responsibilities that come with different positions in all these sectors. But that is quite a very huge problem we are still facing. And this year's theme is actually creating intergenerational, a solidarity between the young and the old. Now, how would you rate that as a problem here? And what are the problems anyway are the youth facing?
Well, when I look at the youth, first we must understand that this is a stage amongst the different age brackets we can have that is very, very productive, very, very energetic, but of course has a number of challenges. Now I want to look at the side of the youth themselves, government and society. Now when you're to look at a Ugandan youth, I want to be very particular. If I'm to look at a person maybe from the age of 15 up to 30 or 18, the biggest challenge the youth in Uganda have had is first and foremost how we've planned for them, starting with government, by the way, because I want to tell you, when we look at Felix talked about innovation, this stage is very innovative, but you find that most of the youth in this country are in the informal sector, so there is a lot of opportunity that government has not tapped into this age group. A youth in the United States of America or in Asia or India may not be very much different in terms of understanding the youth in Uganda. But what have you availed for them? How have you planned for them? What quality of education are they studying? So the first thing is it has been poor planning for this huge population. Many times you go to a Chibuga Chabadugavu and you find this young man where you just bring anything from another country.
Yes.
And they'll just tell you, give us 3 days. Some of these things I've even never seen. By the time you come back, they have something similar to that. What does that mean? There's so much innovation you find. They are trying to make vehicles, they are trying to do this. But has government provided these opportunities? Do you have some finances? How have we organized our youth? So I feel the biggest challenge has been that government has not prioritized tapping into this huge force. Second, when we look at creating spaces for them, because the youth continuously demand for opportunity in our politics to air out their views. Yes, one would say for every electoral position in Uganda we have a youth representative.
Yes.
But we must understand that what are the factors that determine this, even ageism. You'll find that, for example, in politics today, it has been commercialized. Even if you want a young leader, what does it take to be a good politician in Uganda today? It takes money. When we go back about 3 decades back, factors of production or factors of wealth, land was one of them. Whereby then a young man would wake up, he turns 18 or he's seen mature, either educated or not, and there was land. The father would say, now you've grown, this chunk of land is for you to set up a home, begin cultivation. Today's youth, how many of them own land? You know, if you ask their fathers, how did you acquire this land? They could tell you, maybe I got it from my father.
They have border.
Then after some time, I was able to use that land, by then maybe plant coffee or rear cows and all that, which also had a way that he didn't purchase them. So today, the factors that used to enable the people we look at today are no longer available for the youth. Then globalization has also become another issue. How have we ensured that this youth has the opportunities that youth in other countries do have?
Yes.
You know, there are countries that have hubs, innovators hubs. Countries that think of this youth more years to come, and they have availed. For example, one of the things could be internet today. I want to tell you our country as Uganda, one of the countries where rates of internet are expensive. That a young youth could wake up and just have these gadgets available to him, go on, search and all that. Here, a person will tell you a GB, how quick it goes and how much you have to. Remember when we were in COVID-19, we had campuses complaining that we can no longer study, even if you're having internet, telling us to study online.
We cannot afford the internet.
We cannot afford.
Yes.
A day I may need 30,000. I cannot afford 30,000 for all the lectures I have if I'm to go online. So Uganda youth has had these problems. And finally, to the youth themselves.
Yes.
One, a problem of, would I call it, the world has become a global village, but also the way at which the Ugandan youth is taking in what is coming. There's also been lack of guidance. Lack of guidance, that is why you're seeing that today many youth, you find many young men, today think taking drugs is being, you know, you're on top of the world.
Yes.
Because you're taking drugs. Why? Because what they are seeing, they believe that top musicians use drugs, the dress code and all that. So I want to say that these 3 factors, poor planning or not effective enough planning on the side of government, globalization, and of course when you go back to certain factors of production that were readily available some 4 or 5 decades back that are no longer here, and also now increased population. Yes. Uganda is one of the countries that has high fertility rate. On average, a Ugandan woman, they will tell you we are looking at about 6-point-something children.
Is that a problem?
High population, high fertility rate. That you see, the rate at which they are competing for resources available.
Yes.
There are so many. Every year mothers are incubating and kids, and you know, at the end of the day, when you add up this, coupled with a few resources, that becomes a big challenge.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. And now that we are still talking about, now that we're still talking about the youth, establishing how our Ugandan youth are standing and also the major challenges, I believe that there are also opportunities that have been availed to them or that are yet to be availed to them. And Mollen, this is why you come in. Do you think that on a global scale, have enough opportunities been availed to the youth, and also zeroing back here in Uganda, our very own? Do you think that enough opportunities have been availed to them, and to what extent anyway have the youth been fully engaged in these opportunities? Have they taken a step into tapping into some of them? How are we doing on that scale? And also putting into consideration that now we're looking at some dynamic shifts, you know, things have changed globally. Have we been able to move with the times while we are tapping into these opportunities?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know for sure that there is a country that does offer opportunities on a silver plate and be like, okay, the youth, this is for you.
This is it for you, yes.
We have seen a lot of that doesn't work. And I'll start with an example of some of the programs that were put across in Uganda, where the youth were supposed to receive, I think, 5 million sometime back. But again, it was channeled
Youth
through
Livelihood Fund.
Yeah, the Youth Livelihood Fund. So it would be channeled through the bank. But again, when you go there to get that money, you'd be asked to present your collateral. But this is someone who doesn't have land. Like Kirabo was putting
there is no collateral security you can avail.
Have the collateral security.
Yes.
So that is not you giving them the opportunity. It is you telling them, you know what, this could be yours in case you have something. Yes. So in case you have land, you could actually get the money. So you're only giving it to people who can actually afford to even have it. So me, I think that some of the opportunities that we should be tapping into as the youth, and someone said we shouldn't be using a we because they're not in that category. But first of all, identification and connection are key. Because you look at the fact that a lot of people, I'll talk about young adults finishing campus.
Yes.
You're done with university, you're diving into this world, but how do you connect? Because I think there is this notion that says, you know what, you have to know someone somewhere. It's not how it should work. But there are programs that have been put out there, like the volunteering program. And a lot of youth don't want to tap into that because, you know what, as a volunteer, most companies or most organizations will not be paying you. But you know what that will do for you? It creates that kind of space that you're able to know the workspace, you're able to make the connections that you need, the identification that you need, to even realize what you could potentially do. So I think those are some of the programs that the youth should be involved in. If there is a volunteering program at a certain organization, just go for it. And maybe it might not be paying at that point, but I know a lot of testimonies that have come out of volunteering, and people do get the job. So it's no longer about you knowing who. But then again, one other thing would be the skills. Youth have a broad spectrum of skills that, you know, they just never really put them across in reality. And you talk about skills of innovation, and just because you don't have that innovation hub to, you know, have that skill get out there, doesn't mean you should stop there.
Yes.
I'll give you an example of one Mulindwa. The gentleman is called Mulindwa. He was giving his story on how he started a juice company here in Uganda. And he started with 600,000 Ugandan shillings by making juice and moving it across the taxi park. So he says after some time, he gathered up to 3 million. And that's when he was able to buy a juicer that could eventually get him to that. But as we speak now, he owns a huge company that produces one of the juice brands across Uganda. And this gentleman, according to his story, he's saying he was always afraid of dying a poor man. And that moved him into saying, you know what, I know how to make juice.
Yes.
Why don't I start small, and with time, I can get to be rich. So we have a group of youth in Uganda that are just okay with their status.
And I'm glad you say there is a group, because I was about to ask. I don't know how many Ugandan youths would be having this mentality of, I'm afraid to die a poor man or a poor woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they would rather complain that, you know what, government at Yambe, we need youth programs, and sit back and be relaxed in their condition. But this is a man who says, no, I will not die a poor man. And he goes on to what most youth would think, maybe this is embarrassing to move juice around. Yes. But the man made a business. And right now we're buying his branded products. Yet he started with just a few juices across. So I think there are skills that we have, but we are just afraid to start. So one of the things that has been given to you is your skill. And again, something I would say is start early. As early as you can, you have an opportunity. And just in the corridors, we were talking about how people who call themselves real estate agents,
yes.
Most of them would be like in the youth. That is not a skill. It's you trying to make ends meet here and there.
Yes.
But if you're going to dive into real estate, make sure you have a strategic plan, actually, because we have seen a lot of people that actually gain from real estate.
Capital,
you could start out as a blocker, but as you grow, you keep elevating.
That's the bigger plan.
Exactly, because that is something that you could also be tapping into. And then we do have an issue that comes in with you know, having a mental well-being. But we do know that a lot of youth are involved in drug abuse, and this is something that has pushed them into a state that they mentally can't function. having yourself in a mental well-being will give you even the capacity to be respected in society. And I think this is where also most youth could be involved in community activities at a local level. But if you're some kind of public nuisance around your community, no one is going to involve you in any activity. Even these programs that we're talking about, the parish development model and all these programs that come across, you will find that communities will be looking for mutabani wa gundi amala degree. Like they want to know who is the next person that can help moderate some of these activities.
Yes.
But when you're involved in drugs and they know you as this person who is always out of the community, you will not get that opportunity. So you have to mentally put yourself in that. And then the biggest opportunity I think the youth have is digitalization now. We know that a lot of young adults are involved in all of these internet projects on social media. You talk about Instagram, TikTok, and they have a lot of following. But how are they taking advantage of that? I'll tell you, you'll find a CEO of a big company in Uganda who doesn't even know what is TikTok or what is Twitter. They will need someone who actually knows what that is and can tap into the opportunity of how to grow the company.
Yes, the contribution to it
as digital marketing.
Yes.
Because we are in this digital era and most companies, most organizations will need the digital marketing part. But a lot of youth are using their social accounts to even just publish funny stuff, and you know what is comic around the country is what they are publishing. But if you are putting yourself in a way that you can approach different companies and actually tell them, you know what, if we go digital and do this, maybe this opportunity could help. Start out with them, get that engagement with them, and you know, say this is my following, this is what I have, this is what I do digital marketing. And I know a lot of youth that have benefited from being brand ambassadors and they are earning money. But people who just have that kind of opportunity don't use it.
Yes.
So I think this is where the blame is going to be on them. Because now once you have that opportunity, how are you taking advantage of it? How are you getting to use what you know to put yourself in a way that you're even employed?
Okay. Felix, you're saying something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I think having listened to Mollen right here, as she did break down the opportunities quite beautifully, but also to tell you that the youth are the biggest problems to themselves. If you want to talk about your Ugandan youth, the ones you call darlings and what, those youth, the ones you're talking about, they're the ones who are, you know, there's something called emotional intelligence when Mollen talked about mental wellness.
Yes.
You have youth that in this country, they wake up at midday. They're the ones who tie hair. I don't know if you think that's the right English. You find a boy tying hair. I don't know for what purpose, by the way. You're the ones, they are the ones who, like, they have money, like you guys say, they don't know like what's next.
Yes.
And not because there's actually nothing next, but because they have the worst attitude. Ugandan youth have the worst attitude in the world, I think the people have met.
Yes.
And God has really blessed that I've seen quite a number of different societies, but they have the worst attitude in terms of work. You go and see the people here who insult the old people most. And at all levels, by the way, verbally, facially, internet,
via social media
everywhere.
platforms.
It's hard to see someone above the age of 35 using the language they use. You understand? So the question is, all these things, the opportunities you're talking about, Mollen, are there. And that's a given.
Actually,
but
Felix,
are these people,
you've brought in something. Opportunity comes to the people
who are ready,
who have positioned themselves right.
But I want to challenge you. Go to Makerere. The universities today have the most strikes. Why? Simply because of emotional intelligence. In the most recent good election, there was a murder case. These are the youth you think are going to take over a country because you're saying the opportunity, you want to see my government give them 5 million. These murderers. Now, at that age, and by the way, me have said it, and and it's on record. These kids were born 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. I don't know if when you guys were born, but those kids.
I feel attacked.
And I'm serious, by the way. You go and play with them. They will abuse the president, they will abuse the Kabaka, they will abuse the Katiko, they will abuse you, even your fellow youth. So, when you're talking about the youth in this country, you must not miss the point of family.
Yes.
I think the biggest opportunity or the biggest discussion about youth in this country is the families. what is the role of, and as you said earlier, Philo, the stakeholders, families? You are bringing people into the world that you're not giving time to help. Mentorship. Philo, you cannot teach Mollen how to be respectful. You've only met Mollen when she's about 20, 25. What she didn't see at home, you think you're going to help her?
It's very hard for her to
hard
pick,
work is passed on. Some of us, and I don't like using myself as but we used to see our grandparents wake up at 6 every day. That's why you're only able to work on a TV like UBC, because you're able to wake up, because it was a pattern of life. How does someone wake up at 10?
10 a.m.
Honestly, you're waking up to do what? The day, half the day, quarter of the day is gone. By 10 a.m., people in Nakasero market have finished work. For you, waking up with your what is it? People are going home. For you, waking up with your empty head.
We do have feedback coming in from the people who are listening in, and Derek is saying, "Good morning, family. According to statistics, youth contributes about 77% of Uganda's population. Now, such numbers are a determinant of labor, security, and growth to Uganda as a nation. But in Uganda, unemployment is the song every youth is singing today. A government is challenged to make a proper policy that is suitable for the youth and boost programs like youth livelihood, youth saving circles, etc. Otherwise, majority are now flying abroad to look for greener pastures." Thank you so much, Derek from Makindye. But again, when he talks about this, there are other factors that have to come into play, because even if you give them the opportunities. No, like what you're saying. Even if you avail them with opportunities.
Just right there, like following what Derek is saying. Because when he says government has to create most of these youth programs, there are things that have been there, and clearly they are not helping.
Yes.
And one thing he said right is about the Ugandans that are flying out of the country.
Yes.
And yesterday I actually had a conversation with someone at the airport saying every day they see about 200
I've been to that airport.
young people going out of Uganda.
Yes.
And this person was like, I'm wondering where are they coming from? It's because they feel like it's greener there. But let me tell you one fact. It's not about it being greener. It's just because you think maybe Uganda is the problem.
It's the easy way out. They think it's the easy way out.
They think, okay, this is an opportunity that is handed to you, because now they know I'm assured that I'm going to work there. And I've seen a lot that come back and they regret.
Yes.
And they're like, you know what, I wish I stayed, because I could have done the same thing here. But youth do not want to get started. They just don't want to. Because even when you talk about like the circles and all these things, what are you going to sell? What are you, because there is no someone that's going to bring you in when you don't have any.
Well, there is a gentleman here saying that why the youth go for drug abuse is because of frustration after graduating, because they do not know what to do next, and they need to be supported emotionally and morally.
Now,
let me just say, the first ones to graduate. There is people, the first one to study.
I want to give you an example. There is one of our country which is our neighbor. You see, much as we are castigating the youth and saying or looking at them as maybe people that have a problem and a bigger problem to handle.
That's a fact.
We must also look at factors. When the gentleman says that some youth have graduated and actually because of this frustration, I remember one who jumped over a building, I think it was 5 years back. Who says she has even masters and she has failed to get an opportunity. So two factors. One, what education are these youth, because you know what kind of education have these youth been exposed to? People when they are graduating, they are told, go and be job creators, not job seekers. But what have you put in them that is going to make them
What do you mean who? What do you mean when you say who? What have you put? The who?
The system.
What is the system?
The system. What skills has it given to the people it powers?
So the system being government, being other stakeholders?
It is recently when I think the National Curriculum Development Center and the Director of Industrial Training woke up and said, no, look, a person finishes 7 years, that is P1 to P7, then they don't have any skill. Goes to senior 4, lacks any skill. So they said, no, let's improve the whole curriculum, secondary curriculum, to ensure that we are imparting skills that a person who has finished senior 4, even if they end there, they can be resourceful. There are things they're supposed to do. Now, when you look at the education system and you find that one of the things that African countries do not look at so much is the mental situation. Recently, there was a report that came out indicating how many people have mental issues.
That's a global thing. Since we're not in Uganda.
Yes, but you find that there are some people that take that some of these youth are sick.
Maybe some factors have escalated the problem.
And what have made them sick.
If I may just give a
you find that
rejoinder.
they're looking for solace and where they feel they can fit, because also there is poor guidance. They land in such situations. I want to tell you, drug abuse in this country, I've ever been at the National Rehabilitation Center, Butabika. But I was shocked. You have people from slums, you have people from high-end families that are all in this. So we must ensure that government perfects its role, families perfect their role, society, there are things that hurt me. In Uganda, drugs are freely accessible. Yes, they're easily to get, even
let
on
me
the
just
streets.
say something about
Yes, Felix,
drugs.
as we try to conclude this.
For me, lastly, I beg. One, the youth, and for me, I think this is key for whoever is interested to listen. Stop making these guys think they're important, in as much as they can only be important when they're useful.
Yes.
They're as good as useless if they're not useful.
The two complement each
Let
other.
me be honest.
Yes.
You youth out there, you're as good as useless if you're not important. These things of telling you the youth have 70%. How many of the 70% pay taxes?
That is an opportunity to Uganda, the fact that you have one of the youngest population. It is a very good opportunity.
It's okay.
And we must
if
treasure that.
You treasure. But what I'm saying, if this youth wakes up at 10, okay, they wake up to watch movies, they are all over the city centers, what you call station, for whatever reasons. They are there making useless love relationships. Just useless because they even have nothing to give to whoever they are calling. They're as good as now. There are opportunities. Which opportunity do you bring?
Well, let me just get the parting shots from Mollen.
Let me come in a
Mollen,
little
your
bit
parting
here.
shots.
Because we talk about some of these things as if they are not out there, because I know that there is a program that is killing Uganda, actually. That program is running. But guess what? There are youth out there that cannot even be involved in such a program, because what Skilling Uganda is doing is getting in more of the technical work.
Yes.
And someone will be like, I have a bachelor's in such and such. How do I go back to learn tailoring, to learn baking? And I'll give you a personal example. I have my bachelor's, I'm learned, I have a job, but it didn't stop me from going to get a skill in baking and personally become a baker. Because guess what? Even when you have your bachelor's and you're seated at home without a skill, it's not helping you. So I'm telling you, there are youth out there that don't even go for these skilling activities because they believe it's below their level, and their level is just sitting at home. And that is where we're...
that kind of mindset.
And exactly. There's also something else that I was talking about earlier, about thing about volunteering. And I'll give you live examples as well. I know a group of friends where just a fraction of them went for a volunteering program. 1 year later, they were incorporated in that organization. And the fraction that was left behind kept complaining, saying, you know what, we didn't get jobs, how come they've given these guys? But they saw them go for the volunteering for a year. And later they got jobs and now they are one of, but these other guys are still complaining. And this is what I'll end with this. Something that is handed to you will not be useful for you. Go get it. And some of these things you have to, no matter what level you're at, go for it.
Nothing is going to be available to you on a silver platter at the end of the day. So you really have to, make sure that you look for these opportunities. They are there, but you have to search for them and make sure that you make use of them 100%. Our poll question still runs on Twitter. That is, how best can Uganda as a country tap into the productivity of its large youth group? How best can Uganda tap into the productivity of its large youth group? Hashtag UBCGMU, and you can use the number on your screen to send us an SMS, text, or even a WhatsApp message. we'll be able to go through some of them as Good Morning Uganda Friday special goes on. We'll still have a lot to unpack for you. We have quite a buffet of options that we'll be giving you on exactly how you can spend your weekend. We do have the dailies coming in. I see Felix smiling. Well, that shows that there is some sunshine that is coming in later on. And we do have quite a special interview for you. So you really have to be, you have to look out for it and make sure you don't miss it. We'll be back right after this.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves. High-flying saves. Unbelievable goals. Out of this world celebration.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Gold TV. Love it.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
The press review starts right now, and we kick-started with the Daily Monitor. The big story: government set to recruit 2,600 new teachers, and job opportunities definitely being availed to you. Education Ministry Permanent Secretary Katie Lamaro last night said that about 13 billion Uganda shillings is available to start the exercise with immediate effect. Now, Kenyan elections, we're still looking into them. Raila or Ruto, just hours to declaration. I can tell you that the suspense is really hovering over the East African bloc. And has the local industry been Niger-jacked? Now, this is in your entertainment pullout in the scoop. So get yourself the Daily Monitor to catch up on those and many more stories. And looking at on U.S. government in touch on M23, and married men don't use condoms with sex workers. A report that is being put out in the Daily Monitor for this Friday.
And of course, looking into the new vision for this morning, Kenya's long wait. Of course, is Kenya heading for a rerun? That is on pages 6 and 7 of the new vision for this morning, but also fronting that headline, new judges sworn in. They give you some of the names right there for you as they take in office. Also, the big picture, obviously looking at Kenya's election with Odinga and how many votes he has so far, and Ruto as well, yet to avail who is the winner of those elections. Now, in the new vision for this morning as well, a remarriage as mother held over forcing an Ace2 girl into marriage. That's detailed on the second page. And in Parliament, Minister Ntabazi under fire over abuse of office. That is on page 5. And a scandal as Speaker among to testify in the shillings 40 million bribery probe. That is also on page 5. But in the by-election, they give you NRM wins Gogonya Bokimbiri MP seats, and of course that is also detailed on page 12 of the new vision.
The Daily Nation decision 2022, Raila Ruto battle for Parliament. Of course, this is in the race for House supremacy. Raila Odinga and William Ruto lived up to expectations in their respective bastions, with the Azimio leader taking MP slots in Nyanza, Nairobi, Western Ukambani and Coast, and the Kenya Kwanza Supremo sweeping Mountain, Kenya, Rift Valley and Upper Eastern. And there is also indications there on how the different parties are performing and how many showing you the seats in the National Assembly, the Independents, the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and Azimio One Kenya, and also yet to be declared. Looking at New Dawn in Mountain Kenya as bigwigs bite the dust, and taking you through a mix of the old and new guard get tickets to house. You can see the headshots and see who is getting where and what ticket. And also in more national news now, did Mus Barasa wanted in connection with shooting 6 anticipatory bail. Again, another story you should look out for in the Daily Nation this morning. But also another thing that is very necessary this morning is the weather. And of course, Mollen is giving us the details on how it's looking like for this Friday as we get into the weekend.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, it's quite a cool Friday, starting in with most of the cloudy conditions across the country. So you like the cold weather?
Yes.
Aren't you born in the wrong country? Because you would enjoy winter. But well, it looks like we have mostly cloudy weather across the country, and of course that is coupled with a few of the rainy systems that are starting to form up, mostly over the islands of Lake Victoria, and that is bringing in a little bit of rains over there. But also looking at mostly northern Uganda, still in the likelihood of having more rains as we talk about some of these weather systems that are being influenced by the high pressure systems. You look at the rain-bearing clouds, mostly confined to the northern part of the country, and of course that is what is bringing the rains over there. They have been having rains for the last couple of days, and we could be looking at a similar situation. But this morning you also take a look at southwestern Uganda, areas of Mbarara over to Fort Portal, looking at Masindi right there, also starting to form up with more of those cloudy conditions. Those white colors there indicating the cloudy conditions that I'm talking about. You look at the western side of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Masaka. Also, Kampala right there is looking at quite some cloudy weather, and we could expect some of these systems that are developing over the islands of Lake Victoria actually to move through, and we'll be bringing a little bit of rain, especially the western part of Lake Victoria Basin, but also central Lake Victoria Basin could be benefiting from some of that, although it's likely to be just light rains and over a few areas. But it looks like we're having quite a sunny morning across Mbale, parts of Amuria as well as Soroti, starting off with mostly a sunny morning, but we will be looking at mostly intervals of cloudy conditions also as the morning progresses. I will have a general overview of what we are looking at in terms of the models that are making the forecasts to look into what we could be expecting for this weekend. And of course, starting with an overview for today, you look at the fact that we still have those rain-bearing clouds still north of Africa, and the only part across Uganda that is benefiting from that system is actually the northern area. If you look into that image where we have the light blue colors, that is indicative of possibilities of rainy conditions, and that is taking in the West Nile, parts of central north, as well as the Karamoja region. That is where we do expect most rains to be confined for today, and of course a little bit towards Mount Elgon Highlands, but in smaller numbers. That could only mean maybe light showers, but not so much of intense rainfall. Now, as we head into Saturday, this is the forecast that is still running, and we're looking at still almost a repeat of today, looking at more rains coming through for West Nile, parts of central northern Uganda. That includes areas of Gulu, Kitgum, Padel, moving over to Arua, Yumbe. Those are the areas that we do expect rains to come through across Moroto, Kotido, that takes in the Karamoja region, and of course looking at some of the areas within the Mount Elgon Highlands where you have Mbale. Those are the areas that we do expect to have most of those rainy conditions. That will be for Saturday. Otherwise, the rest of the country will be mostly having a mix of clouds and sunshine, so it will be a good day for you if you have any outdoor activity planned for the weekend, especially if you're within the areas that are expected to have mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, which is almost most areas within the country. Now, Sunday is where we have some good news coming through. That is when we expect more pickup in wet weather activities. We see more rains coming through for West Nile, where you see the green colors right there towards West Nile. That is where we expect more rains to come through. Also across areas of Gulu, extending to Kitgum, Lira over there, also likely to have more rainy conditions. The green colors indicated across Mount Elgon Highlands. That means areas of Mbale, Bududa, Budaka. You're looking at more rains for your Sunday, and of course with more of the blue colors also showing across much of the country, it means that we could see a pickup of wet weather activities for several areas. That takes in the midwestern part of the country and also the Rwenzori area where we have Kasese right there towards Bushenyi. Those areas will be having a pickup of rainy conditions. That is as we look at Sunday, and of course we could be looking at a similar system as we head into the week. But that is right about the time that we'll also be back here again to give you most of those updates as Good Morning Uganda. Well, looking at the weather situation, it looks like Friday might be a bit also favorable if you have an outdoor activity planned. That is, if you're not within the northern region, and you look into Saturday. Saturday could also be looking like one of those days that you can have your activity running smoothly without interruption of rains. Also, again, if you're not within the northern region, but Sunday for you, that means there are a lot of possibilities that you could be having a little bit of those rains to come through. So knowing that, you can plan accordingly and see what to do. Well, that is it in terms of weather updates for this morning, but we do still have a lot coming through. We have an interview about one of the books that is actually really nice from a children's bookstore. That is one thing that you should be looking out for. And of course, your plot for the weekend. We'll be back with more of that entertainment news as well. For now, let's take a short break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
If I'm looking at issues of taxation and all that, I will definitely run for the Kateshumbas. Okay? Okay. if I look at, if I'm looking at issues of investments and what, I would definitely run. I would definitely run for Dr. Emure Kugonza and Honorable Omara. Okay. If I'm looking at issues of the law, I will run for our very, very own people. I have the Oboso Bosses, I have the Katuntus, I have the Robin Arwakojos. So everyone is talented in one way or another.
Did you mention Katuntu?
Okay. Yes.
Is he yours?
Yes, he is.
Yours as in NRM?
He is.
Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Welcome to English in a Minute. It is good to arrive to important events on time or even early.
I was worried you were not going to make it.
Oh, I'm here, and I have all the things you asked me to bring.
Great. You got here just in the nick of time. We only have 5 minutes before the guest of honor arrives.
And that is?
My cat and all her furry friends.
Your cat.
Meow.
If something happens in the nick of time, it happens at the last possible moment, just before it is too late. Nick was the word for a narrow and exact